I'm insecure and need validation from people, why don't I give my opinions so they can agree or disagree with them? Haha. Do you know the Nerdist podcast?
I am aware of it. I have not heard an episode yet.
Okay, so I didn't watch too much. Listen to too much. It was an episode on. Oh, they had a bad mixture of topics and comedy. Like, I feel like we can use these as an example for our show as separate aspects of each. So Triforce podcast, which Checkered recommended, was it was good because Triforce was good because they were already personalities. They're funny people.
Same thing with the podcast I listen to, Hello Internet. I knew about them before the podcast.
Yeah, because Yogscast, they started Triforce when they already had a lot of subs, and they started off with a community. So that's a different case. And I'm gonna say that the most important thing with our show is that we need to have consistent content, so that way people, maybe the people here who are currently, I very much doubt like very many people here are going to stick to this show just because, it's like, everything changes, right? The first is always the best. Mm-hmm. The class, we'll leave, but right now we just need to work on getting consistent content until like genuinely interesting content. And I said this before the power of friendship wears off, because half the people here are just here because one of the hosts is their friends, and they're like, oh, okay, sure. There are a few people who I sort of advertised the actual idea of this show to, and they genuinely came because they liked what they read. Just like I explained like the sort of stuff we would be talking about. So question mark, yeah. Back to podcasts. I want to explain these to you. Triforce personalities. Nerdist was good. They had good topics, but they had this really bad mix of like comedy, and then sometimes it was, and like they also had the advantage of, since they're so well known, they could bring in guest speakers and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm still not completely behind. Yes.
Yeah. No. That's not what I mean. I mean, I don't mean guest speakers like from the community. I mean real like they were going over like time travel stuff, I think, and they brought in like a physicist.
Oh, okay. Like Ear Biscuits by Rhett and Link. They bring in YouTube celebrities.
Yeah, Rhett and Link they're cool guys. That's like Triforce. They're interesting. It's not just the top, because the topics are kind of random.
So what we're talking about today is what we want to do with the podcast, about like the general idea we want to go, and as the topics we've discussed before are, we like giving our opinions about things, which is great because our opinions are virtually worthless in both international trade and in their conversation value. So
yep.
We take it and we pull it out of various orifices.
Opinions, like I go and I buy opinions from.
He buys his used secondhand.
Conservative grandparents, and I sell them in the black market.
Never had an original thought in his life. They're all hand-me-down.
Actually, I think there is like. I'm sure there's no. I bet there is. I could do. I'm not going to look that up right now, but I'm sure that there's something about how all of your opinions are like an amalgamation of like a few of your closest friends or whatever, the people you talk about.
I mean, and you will. It's nature versus nurture, about what you can, only so many of your opinions can be formed on your own beliefs. Like there's a certain number of your thoughts that exist, because
there's something, a true decision, but like a moral dilemma. Mm-hmm. But there's also stuff like that's completely predetermined and based on something you've heard or something someone else's opinion. And if you're surrounded by surrounded by a certain opinion, you have either the instinct to like, rebel and have a different opinion, or to, conform and have the same opinion. And it's usually related to your attitude. Are you rebellious?
Oh, so that's like the anti-behavior, is you're doing it because no one else is. But you'll find that most people like to conform on some level, especially if you can get them to conform without realizing they are. I highly recommend I believe is it on the Science Channel, is Brain Games. It basically is it Science Channel, or is it maybe
whatever. Just tell us about this quickly, because we're already like off topic.
Alright, hashtag off topic.
Yes,
Brain Games takes concepts such as creativity, perception, optical illusions, conformity, decision making, and ties it all to the psychology of your brain. And the highlight of these shows is these 6 or 7 little games that they have you play throughout these 30-minute episodes that it's audience participation, and it gets you to think about how your brain handles the waterfall of information that it gets every second of its waking moment. And so the purpose of the show is to make basic psychological principles and how your brain works understandable to the common person.
Yeah, because there's a strong desire to relate in everyone, so that's the whole conformity thing in it. Okay, so back to the podcast we can pull stuff from. So Nerdist had some interesting topics. They have different like podcast channels with different hosts, and so there's a variety of topics, very great variety. A lot of the stuff is not stuff we would want to have here, and most of the good topics were used in a way that we wouldn't do here. Like, for some reason, the episode over time travel paradoxes was also a comedy episode, which didn't really make sense to me. But do your thing, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Time travel paradox jokes. Oh, and they were so stupid. They kept trying to. The physicist was like, okay, it's a paradox, and he was like, isn't that? He explained it to them, and he was like, isn't that weird to think about? And then they were like, but the answer is. I was like, are you really trying to start a conversation on the answer of the whole point of a paradox is it has no answer? And they're like, oh, I figured it out. I figured it. It's the thing where you're a comedian and you have like a trademark one-liner. Well, you're going to have a trademark one-liner because you're starting your career, and then future you comes back and it's like, use this one-liner, you'll be super successful. Okay. And then you do it for 80 years, and you have this one-liner, and then you're like, oh, wait, I need to go back in time and warn my original self, my young self, to use this one-liner TM,
What you're referring to is called, in physics, called the bootstrap paradox. Basically, is the information...
I wrote the one-liner. It never started.
And my favorite example of this is in one of my favorite... Speaking of comedy science fiction, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Is a man in the, which we have to have a conversation about that. I'll have to go back and reread that. Is a man in the universe who writes these amazing poems, but that was before they invented things like whiteout and type correction. So all these future people want, like, well, if he wrote these amazing things and all he has access to is ink and these leaves he wrote it on, well then. Maybe if we go back in time and we give him these good supplies, and he can correct his mistakes and write the poems better. So they bring back copies of his poems for him to write. He becomes really famous, but it gets to the point where he hasn't actually written the poems yet. So they ship him off to the island, and he writes all these poems on a leaf. And the question is where did the poems come from? And it's, can you create information from nothing? It's why it's a paradox. The information has no source.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's physically impossible to travel back in time, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah,
okay.
It violates too many current laws, too many known concepts.
And I'm not going to pretend I know anything about, relativity or special relativity. But even if you did somehow manage to travel faster than light, you would just travel faster than light and go, into the future. You wouldn't age, but you would... And it would feel as though no time had passed. And, because no time would have passed for you, but whatever. point is, I don't want to get into that, and I want to move on to the next. There was one other podcast that had something that I think we could have used an example. I'm going to scroll up in our chat. There was a point where I sent you a bunch of Okay, 99% Invisible. Okay. They did... A lot of the stuff they do is they go over... I think there was some stuff on, like... There's cryptids, there was interesting story, like there was a love story, question mark?
Is it about, like, the little things in life that you don't notice?
No, it's not. It's just a lot of... It's like a story time podcast, almost. Like, they bring in someone to tell an interesting story. Like, this guy, the love story thing I told, with quotations, love story, it's not focused on the love story part.
Love story.
Yeah, but he like, hitchhikes across, like, from Greece to Spain or something, like, with his girlfriend. Anyways, there was some... It has to do with commentary on, something about, I think, just interesting changes in cultures they went. I can't quite remember. I didn't listen to all of it.
Greece to Spain, that is a 375-hour walk.
Oh, wait, no. I retract that statement. They used an RV. There we go. I remember. It was not hiking. Okay, that makes more sense.
RV, 34
that's
hours.
What it was. Yeah. They sold everything, and they quit their jobs, and they bought an RV and went to Spain, where his girlfriend was born.
If we calculate from Greece, the city, to the geological midpoint of Spain, that is a 34-hour drive without traffic.
You cut out 34-hour
34-hour drive to the midpoint of Spain.
Is it 34 hours as the crow flies at 70 miles an hour? Or
no, it's like plugging in these two locations into Google Maps.
Google Maps. Okay.
From Greece to Spain. Spain. Apparently, the midpoint of Spain is roughly northwest of Madrid. So,
hey,
fun fact. Call those thought nuggets.
Now we know stuff.
They're about as unhealthy as regular nuggets.
Okay, so yeah, the story aspect of that, I think we need. That's part of that'll be key in making sure we have consistent content, because currently we just sort of talk about stuff, and we've gotten off track a lot. And make this something that people can enjoy every episode. It's not like, oh man, is this going to be a gamble? Is this a good or a bad episode? It's not going to be. Originally, I wanted to make this a super creative thing, and I wanted to the Welcome to Night Vale, where it was he's telling a story by pretending to be a podcast in a totalitarian world. And it's really cool and really unique and interesting, and something I would totally recommend to everyone. But we don't need to do that. We don't need to have something different. We just need to have something interesting, something for people to, the sort of thing that creates an active community forum. We want people to discuss, thought-provoking stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm. We want to encourage people to think about things in ways that they haven't before. We're not out to be educational people. We're not out to give you the cold hard facts. We want you guys to think.
We don't do research.
We don't do research. What is this high school? Totally not Googling half the things we're talking about.
Plugging it into Google Maps, very scientific.
Absolutely. No, we're not here to present facts. We're here to present ways of thinking. And that's what we want to do. We want to encourage diverse ideas.
Diverse thoughts. Diverse thoughts. Hey.
Diverse thought. Hey, spin-off or alternate universe podcast name? Question mark.
That's something we need to bring up is motivation, inclination. No, I'm trying to remember the word. Whatever. Doesn't matter. We need some sort of inclination, motivation to watch this live. We want people to come together live. I feel like that's it's more conducive to a friendly community, you know.
Conducive. You're dropping some 45-cent words over here, you know.
Yeah, I am.
This is some grade A stuff. I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, do you know about okay. So I hate to whip out the good old meme, the double-barreled meme.
This is definitely getting cut. You've said the word meme now. It's unavoidable.
Okay, no, listen.
No, it's done.
Listen, the best thing is words used by, like, okay, so I gotta give credit to Mr. Whomst. If you stop changing your name, maybe I could properly give you credit. Anyways.
Now you've encouraged this man to learn Python so he can code a program that will change his name subtly every time he logs on.
Oh, he already tried to learn Python. I know him IRL, and we went to a Python class together. Mm-hmm. He says he doesn't have, I'm doing air quotes IRL. He doesn't have a mind for coding. Okay.
Take it from me, kids. You should learn skills just so you can annoy other people. This is the best motivation I can give you.
You live your entire life out of spite. Okay. That's a good topic, actually. We should talk about doing stuff out of spite. I think that would be kind of fun.
I had something happen to me today that has left me a little bit upset and put a little bit of drain on my wallet, and that is that I got a flat tire on my bike.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I currently don't own a car.
I didn't mention that in the announcement. I was like, well, looks like the 5 to 6 podcast was like you were like, it's my promise to do everything in my power to be ready for the cast tomorrow and 6-ish CST, pending an earthquake, meteor impact, or government takeover.
I'm filing this under government.
Is also me having plans much earlier than thought, and I was about to add to that and Doppler having a flat tire, but I was like, okay, wait, that's gonna look like I'm.
So I have a question. Out of the 3 things, earthquake, meteor impact, and government takeover, how does my bike getting a flat tire best relate to one of those? I'm saying government takeover.
Government takeover.
Of course.
At that moment, simultaneously, like 3,000 other bike tires just popped immediately because they're all implanted with government bombs.
And you know what? The sound of the air escaping my tire.
I need to stop you there. Okay.
No.
Because I'm detecting speed, or we're going off topic from off topic. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go off topic here, and then now we're off topic.
This is gonna be fun to edit. But off topic is
fun. Back to the good old May.
I'm gonna bring it up again so we can get a better chunk of it.
Me and Whomst have a joke. It's really his joke. I just kind of act like I'm like in the joke. I mean, well, we both.
So you pretend so you can be accepted.
I'm part of the inside joke, so I act like I made it up. Okay, he hates me for that. Okay. Anyways,
you're inside the joke, but you're not sitting down on the couch being comfortable with everyone else. Exactly.
Okay. No, I'm in the painting, but you know he painted it, not me. Okay. So it's a joke about words that are used in industry that no longer mean anything because they're so overused. That is to say, like the industry, an industry. Like a really good one is just gaming peripherals. Ergonomic. It doesn't mean anything. Everything is ergonomic. There is no quote-unquote ergonomic, because
if I'm not mistaken, ergonomic is meant to imply that
ergonomic Mac keyboard that literally, like,
it's meant to imply that they put a little more thought into the feel and operation than the practicality of it.
Yeah, but it's industry. When you're advertising something that should be industry standard, it's kind of funny because they're sort of aware that it's meaningless, but they want to point out that they are industry standard. But that's sort of beside the point, I think.
So it's a fluff attribute. It's a fluff attribute.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one is intuitive. Intuitive, really, like the thing with intuitive is it doesn't have to be original. Like if you just copy the file, edit, view, window, help, like bar from Mac or Apple, or like literally any program ever, it's intuitive immediately.
So intuitive is the sense that it should compute well enough with your body that you don't even have to think about it. And best things that are truly intuitive, that have reached maximum intuitiveness, are the things you couldn't even think to name, like a doorknob. That is a truly intuitive item. You don't need to think about how to use a doorknob. And so if we're getting down to the absolute truth of this word, nothing is really intuitive.
Yeah.
The odds of something being truly intuitive goes down exponentially as you increase the complexity of the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's basically zero once you hit a program where you can create a file.
Yeah, once you can create a thing.
There's someone who's like, oh, how do you create a file? Like, if you have to ask how to do it, it's not intuitive.
Yeah.
Okay. So, back to what we were saying before that about words. We were talking about
that no longer mean anything.
We were pointing out before the meme, the thing that connected me to the meme. The meme was can we go back and watch the recording? Because I totally don't remember what we were talking about. That's like 3 off topic. Like it's like the multiverse theory, except with us talking. Jesus.
Episode title should be Mindless Ramblings.
There's another. There's a new universe created where we went off topic to a different off topic in each universe, and then there's like one universe where we actually just continue talking about the same topic. Although
I think the episode title should just be hashtag off topic, because we don't really have an off topic, because nothing is off topic except for the things where we mention the word off topic. So we started in theory, we wanted to use this podcast to talk about what we wanted to do with this podcast, but I think that so far we've basically led by example of what you should expect from the structure of these episodes in the relative future.
Yeah, that's why it helps. Like that's something I noticed in the Nerdist podcast when they brought in the physicist guy. Like, although the other 2 guys talking to the physicist were trying to make it comedy, since the physicist wasn't very funny. Well, I mean, they were.
A physicist walks into a bar.
Yeah, he says, "Ow, ka-chow." Never heard that one. Well, I mean, he was obviously. I'm sure they were like, okay, we need to bring in a physicist, and we're like, one of the things was, okay, you have to be like mildly extroverted at least, like leaning towards extrovert. So this guy was obviously, he wasn't incompetent. He wasn't like he didn't have social anxiety or something, but he was he was serious and practical. Like you probably most physicists I would expect to be practical people. Anyways, he directed the conversation despite the other 2 being the ones who talked the most, because he was the one with the information. So I feel like on purpose. So for one, we need to get more hosts. Host-wise, we need.
I'm willing to give that a shot because I'd like to expand this. I mean, currently we are the 2 primary hosts. It'd be nice to have a third every now and then.
Yeah, no, I think we should always have 3 people and then what we do is we choose one person to research a topic, and only one person actually researches the topic. So that way, the person who did the research, is forced to drive the conversation because they're the only one who actually knows anything.
You're getting into making this a chore. And I think it's important that we enjoy.
To do some research.
You're setting yourself up for failure because eventually all 3 of us will have to draw the short straw. And do you honestly want to research a topic? Because what if it ends up being something that you have no interest in? So I think basically.
Or no, it wouldn't have to be random. We could be like whoever came up with a topic could research it. Okay, we'll discuss this later. I don't want to hear. This is almost an announcement episode, so since now we're reaching territory that we basically haven't talked about at all out of this episode, and it becomes like a decision, we should leave it till later. We need to just sort of talk about what we have decided.
And here's what I want to do. I want to wait until our second season, which I believe 10 episodes would be a nice round number for our season.
I call it the first season. I feel like we should. This should be season 0.
Your feeling is registered, but it is completely ignored.
Oh, okay.
You can't start at season 0. We aren't prequels. We got to do. Well, we have to do a documentary.
Yeah,
we have to do that when we've been doing this show for 5 years. We have to do The Men Before the Podcast. That will be season 0. Season 0 will be the name of the documentary. Season 0, a glimpse at greatness.
Okay.
Anyone know? So what I want to do is, once we have a few episodes under our belt, we have a community, we have people who dedicatedly show up.
Wait. You're getting a little ahead of yourself here. We don't have a community. We have the power of friendship.
Yes, I said when we do. When we do. That is the key word there, is when we have a dedicated live audience. The after show that we do where we discuss to our live listeners, which is why you should totally listen to the show live. You get the 3 perks of, 1, you get to hear uncut things that will not make it into the final sub. Is 2, you get to, in your own little way, drive the conversation because we sort of look to the side as we are talking. And 3 is that we have the live after show in which, once the episode's done and dusted, recordings turned off, we open up the channel to everyone has a chance to talk. So if you submit an idea you want to talk about, we let 1 or 2 people in. This is how we will gauge people who we might flag as interesting people to have on the show every now and then.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, we can figure out how to recruit hosts later, but one problem is going to be that they have to be both interesting, interested, and ready to commit. Because even I am realizing now that school's starting soon. I'm not going to have as much time. I do have other things I want to do.
This would be probably a weekly thing.
The more hosts we get, the less of a commitment it will be. People like to have the same hosts, but I feel like 4 hosts would be good, and then we can sort of do, we can sort of swap it around, or maybe you could be the invariable host, and it's like you talking to one of the other hosts.
You know, the opposite of variable is constant, right? The man who says he has a way with words.
Invariable is a word. No, because I'm mad. Yeah, invariable, never changing.
But
you are the constant.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Invariable.
I do code.
No. I wave the white flag. Invariable. I give this to you. Just utter defeat.
So we need to get back on the topic of hosts, because we have spent this entire time just goofing off. So
do we really though? Like, I feel like this episode, first of all, is going to be a pain to edit, but sort of embodies what we here at Checkered Thoughts stand for, which is nothing at all. We're making it up as we go.
Literally.
Yes.
Very good. Okay. I was gonna say something, and then you said that, and I was like spending my time highlighting and unhighlighting all the text in the chat. Hosts. On the topic of hosts, committing to being a host, consistency. That's what it was. Back to consistency. I do feel like what we stand here being literally nothing, and we're completely off topic all the time. Like, there is no on topic; it's just always off topic. I do feel like we can shave that down a little. I feel like as we sort of practice conversation, we can be a little more efficient, less editing, less story time like I did with the Obsessed. The thing was that story took so long to do that I forgot what I was connecting that to, and that rhymed, and I'm Dr. Seuss now. I was going to say something about that story. I was going to point out, like, something with, acting like you're the, holier than thou in an argument. Mm-hmm. I can't quite remember what that was, and it's probably going to be a little frustrating for people reading the final, reading. I said reading and watching for podcasts. No, it's listening.
Yes, there are listeners. There are listeners. They are nothing more.
I keep saying let's go back to hosts, and then we get off topic. This is actually...
Well, that's because I've basically I don't know what I'm going to salvage from this recording. You've handed me a heaping pile of inconsistent threads of thought, and you expect me to weave you a masterpiece.
Personal messaging him. Okay. Yes.
No, nobody says personal messaging as a full phrase. Just say you're PMing him or DMing him. Nobody says I'm privately messaging him.
Yeah, no, I said I'm messaging him over Discord. That's not. I'm messaging.
I think I have recordings that prove otherwise.
Personal messaging him. Okay. Personal messaging him. Personal messaging him.